So start standing up and let's actually take a wider stance. So your feet are a little bit wider than your hips. And your toes are facing the same direction. Your feet are parallel to each other. So you feel this like wide, strong stance. And then bring your arms out to the side. And you can open and close the hands. You can bring the palms so that they face away from you. And you really feel that stretch across the heart center. You can like take some movements with the hands. And then we're gonna just start doing some free movement. So I'm thinking about doing this, like you inhale the arms up and then you exhale, come down and across, kind of like the sun rising and setting. So you feel this really nice circular motion in the hips and the torso. So you can just explore with this type of movement. You can go a few times in both directions. You can do something else if that feels good, but maybe just closing the eyes with whatever you're doing. And really just tuning into the breath, keeping your movement linked with either an inhale or exhale. If your arms want to do some movements, if you want to do anything different, you can just do what feels good. And there is this thing that a friend of mine was teaching me. I think it's a Kundalini type of move, but we can try it out. So when you're standing, your feet can be in together. If you like them wider, you can do that. And then bring your hands behind your head and your elbows out to the side. So you can either keep them here or just bring your hands to your shoulders if that's better. But we're going to be moving side to side, and you just want to keep your head move like in line with your shoulders, so your head is moving too. And you want to try to keep your hips as square as possible. So you take a quick inhale going to the left, and then a quick exhale going to the right. And you just go back and forth like this. So it's like, you can inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Do it 5 more times. And then when you're finished, you can release the arms, take them out, just let that all settle. Nice little kickstart. And then you can step toward the top of your mat. And when you're ready, you can inhale, reach the arms up, maybe take a slight back bend at the top. And then exhale, hinge at your hips and lead with your heart, slowly lower down, forward fold. Bend the knees generously, let the belly rest on the thighs. Take big exhale, sighing it out, just letting everything go, letting the torso and the head be heavy. Shift the weight slightly more toward the balls of the feet and lift your sit bones up a little bit higher. Relax the jaw and the forehead. First forward fold of the day, just breathing into the spine, breathing into the legs. One more big exhale. On your next inhale, you can rise to a halfway lift. Just lengthen the spine from the tailbone through the crown of the head. And exhale, let that go. Plant your hands down and step your feet back to a high plank position. The heels reach back, crown of the head reach forward, broaden the collarbones, let the heart reach forward, and really lift the back of your heart at the same time. The knees can always drop down at any point. One more big breath. And then slowly bending the elbows alongside the ribs, lower yourself in one piece down to your belly. Knees can come down at any point. And releasing. On your next inhale, rise your heart up to a baby cobra. Exhale, let that go. As you inhale, you can push yourself back up through a plank or through a tabletop. And let's meet in our down dog. So bend the knees quite generously, lift the sit bones as high as they can get, and just really focus on getting the space between your fingertips and your tailbone as long as you possibly can get it. And then just letting the legs come second. So you can take turns bending each leg. You can keep them both bent, or you can let the heels be heavy. Just finding a little bit of stillness in your down dog when you're ready. Letting your heart reach toward your thighs, letting the heels be heavy, even if the knees are still slightly bent. And feel this wrapping of your shoulder blades, so your armpits feel like they can almost look at each other. Relax the jaw, relax the forehead. Press into the hands, the base of your thumb, the base of your pinky, and your pointer finger. All the fingertips and the heel of your hand, the suction-like grip to the floor. One more big breath. And then you can start to bring your shoulders over your wrists and bend your knees so that they come to hover over the mat. So you're in like a tabletop, but your knees are off the mat. Let your heart reach forward. Your collarbones are broad. The crown of your head is reaching forward. And then exhale, release the knees to the mat. You can tap out the tops of the feet, maybe do some wiggles or start moving into your cat-cows. Inhaling the heart forward and the tailbone up. Exhaling, tailbone tucks, the chin tucks, the back of the heart lifts. And same as when we started the practice, just doing this free movement now in your tabletop. Maybe rotating the shoulders, maybe taking big circles with the shoulders and the hips, looking back toward either hip, wagging your tail. And just staying linked with your breath, noticing if the mind starts to talk to you or wander, and just bringing that attention back to the breath. Awesome. So when you're ready, you can come back to your neutral tabletop, and then we'll walk the hands forward, melt the heart down into puppy pose. Breathe into the shoulders. Let the sit bones lift really high. Let the heart be heavy. Rooting into the forearms and the hands, feeling the shoulder blades come slightly together and down the back. Surrendering here. Great. And then from here, just let your sit bones become so heavy that it pulls you back into your child's pose. The sit bones resting on the heels or close to them. The forehead releases to the mat. The belly breathes into the thighs. And then start to activate your child's pose. Press your hands into the ground so much that the arms start to lift off the mat, and feel like you could drag the floor towards your knees as you pull yourself up through a table. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. Exhale. Maybe you take a lion's breath, sticking out the tongue and looking to the forehead. Maybe you flutter the lips. Maybe you just let out a big sigh. On your next inhale, raise your right leg back and up, and really let your core be doing most of the work here. So feel this leg just an extension of your spine. You can either point the foot or flex the foot. Keep the heart reaching toward your left thigh. You got this. And then as you exhale, pull your knee in toward your chest, using that cat spine and your core. Shift the shoulders over wrist and bring your right foot to the top of the mat. So keep your back heel lifted. So we're going to be coming into a high lunge, but just getting the legs right first. So feeling the pelvic floor active, your inner thighs reaching toward each other. And you can feel like your back heel could like step on the back wall. And then once you feel that sturdiness in the legs, you can use your core to rise yourself up to a high lunge. This is a balancing pose, so just finding a focal point, staying with your breath. We won't be here for too long. Just letting your tailbone reach down, your inner thighs really pulling toward each other, feeling the strength of your legs. One more inhale, reach. And exhale, let's open up to warrior two. So your back heel pivots to the ground, back foot comes parallel to the mat. Awesome. And your front knee is reaching toward the second toe, really feeling your shoulders staying over your hips. So noticing if that back hip is coming out, pushing that back in so you get the deeper stretch on the inner left leg. Awesome. Lifting the toes for a moment, just making sure the four corners of your feet are on the mat. Then letting the toes be that extra support. Now start to keep the length in your side bodies. We're just going to reach forward with the right arm and then bring your right elbow to hover or rest on the right thigh. And as you come into extended side angle, your left arm reaches up alongside the left ear. But being mindful of this space in between your right side body and your right thigh, and keeping that distance, keeping that length, looks perfect. So getting the left body as long as possible, but not crunching into the right body to do that. Feel the space in the outside edge of your left foot through the left fingertips. One more big inhale. And then as you exhale, just bring your hands down to frame your front foot, lift your back heel, and step back to a plank. Move through your vinyasa. We'll meet in down dog. Awesome. Let it go here. And then on your next inhale, raise your left leg back and up, keeping this leg just an extension of the spine. Really using your core, keeping your heart reaching toward your thighs, maybe even turning your gaze to look at your left toes. Yeah, awesome. And then using that core to pull your left knee in toward the chest as you shift your shoulders over wrist and place the left foot at the top of your mat. You can always use your hand to help it there. And then just get that foundation steady before you rise to your high lunge. So feeling the strength in your legs, using your core to lift you up as you're ready. And really let the back of your right knee lift up toward the ceiling. So your back leg is super straight. Your tailbone is tucking down. Your pelvic floor is active. And you're feeling your inner thighs be magnetically drawn toward each other as you keep that front knee bent over the front ankle. So a lot of moving parts here, or strong parts. One more big inhale to reach. And then as you exhale, open yourself up, warrior two. Awesome. Just checking in with your alignment here. Noticing how this feels on this side, keeping the shoulders over the hips, keeping the arms reaching from your heart. Beautiful. Feeling both feet really firm on the mat, always paying attention to your foundation, whatever is making contact with the floor, and letting that be as wide and steady as possible and strong. And then using your active core and your low belly to just kind of reach forward, but keeping that length in your side bodies as you come into your extended side angle on this side. So your left elbow can either hover if you want more of a core challenge, or gently rest on your left thigh. And then being mindful of the space in between your left side body and the top of your left thigh, so that you feel your spine really straight, and pull your pubic bone in and up towards your navel. That'll be helpful. Your lower belly's active. So good. One more big round of breath. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, you can turn your hands to frame your front foot, lift your back heel, step back plank, move through a flow, and we'll meet in down dog. Flushing out the system, letting anything go. It doesn't serve you anymore. And then when you're ready, bend the knees, look up, and walk your feet up to meet your hands. Inhale, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Let it go. Shake the head yes and no. And slowly as you inhale, start to rise up to stand. You can reach the arms out and up at the top. And exhale, the hands come to heart center. Perfect. Just feeling the blood settle in, feeling your heartbeat, checking back in with your intention for this practice, if you had one. And we will continue to flow. On your next inhale, raise the arms up, reach up, get as long as possible. And exhale, hinge at the hips, lead with the heart, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, let that go. Plant the hands, step back to your plank. Move through a flow of your choice, and we'll meet in down dog. Always options to skip the flows or come into child's pose at any point, or any other pose that's more comfortable. Just listening to your body throughout this practice. And we'll start to open up the hips a bit more. On your next inhale, raise the right leg back and up. And then as you exhale, point the toes, stack the hips, and bend the knee. So you're really opening the hips up to your right. And then start to draw really big circles with your right knee. And go 3 times in both directions. So you feel that hip moving within the socket. Feeling the strength of your body. And then once you've completed 3 circles on either side, you can re-extend your right leg, reach it long, and then exhale, pull the knee into the chest, and this time step it to the outside of your right hand. So both of your hands are on the inside of your right foot. And being in this wide lunge. So you can keep the back leg lifted if you want a little bit more strength training in the legs, or if you'd like to just focus deeper on the stretch, you can let your back knee drop down at any point. You can untuck the toes, keep them tucked, whatever feels better for your body. And we'll hang out in lizard for some breaths. So just letting your hips be really heavy. And there's many different options what you do with your upper body. So you can let your hips be heavy, let your heart reach forward and be kind of like proud about the posture. Or you could let the forearms come to the mat and surrender a bit deeper in the upper body. And your right toes can be facing slightly turned out if that feels better for your knees. And you can also have the option to roll to the outside edge of your right foot, if that feels good. But just unfolding in the time that your body wants to unfold. So breathing really deeply into the hips. Using that ujjayi breath, so creating that slight restriction in the back of your throat. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. 3 more rounds. Letting go a little bit deeper, 1 more round. Awesome. And then coming back onto the hands if you're not there, and then start to slowly lift the sit bones back as you straighten out your right leg. And bring your heel toe that about 1 time so that your right foot comes in line with your right hip. And we'll fold to stretch out the right hamstring a little bit. So you can keep the spine long here. You can inhale to lengthen the spine, exhale to hinge, letting your heart reach toward your thigh. An option to surrender. in the head and in the spine, curling, if that feels better. Just feeling the right hip crease pulling back slightly so that you feel the space between the right hip and the right heel. Great. And then bring both of your hands again to the inside of the right leg and just walk them in like a half circle to be in line with your left knee. And you can naturally pivot on your left knee so that your toes face behind you and your right toes are facing in the direction of your head. And you can start to shift the hips back and stretch out the inside of the right leg. You can come forward and back. You can scooch the right foot further away from you or bring it in closer to you. Just find that sweet spot in the distance between your foot and your hips. Yeah. Awesome. And then you can come back up and bring your left hand to the back of your mat, fingertips facing behind you and the hand in line with the knee. And then reach your right arm up alongside the right ear so that you get this super length in the right side of the body from the outside edge of the right foot through the right fingertips. But just like an extended side angle, be mindful of your left side body as well. So you feel the space between your left hip and your left armpit getting a little bit longer at the same time. So good. Great, and then just cartwheel your right hand so that it meets your left. Naturally pivot on your left knee. And so you're kind of like in a plank position facing the back of your mat. And then just step your foot back to plank, move through a flow, and we'll meet in down dog. Great. So when you're ready, you can inhale your left leg back and up, point the toes, stack the hips, bend the knee. And then take some big circles with the knee, going about 3 times in both directions. Starting to get into our left hip. Awesome. And then once you've done your rounds, you can re-extend your leg, level off the hips, reach it long as you inhale. And exhale, bend the knee into the chest, step the foot to the outside of your left hand, facing the back of your mat. I'm just going to change direction so I can see you. And then come into your lizard pose as you're ready. Unfolding as your body wants to unfold. So there's no need to go exactly where you left off on the other side right away, but just honoring where this side is at. Breathing into the hips. And in your own time, making your way to that final version of the pose you had on the other side. Taking big exhales, and I encourage you to breathe in and out through the nose and making that restriction in the back of your throat, really filtering the air a little bit better for our bodies. Relax the jaw. Relax the forehead. Take 3 more big breaths. And then coming back onto the hands if you're not there. You can slowly lift your sit bones back and straighten out your front leg. And just heel toe that one time so the foot's in line with the hip, and fold over the left hamstring. You can keep the left hip pulling back and really feel the space between the left heel and the left hip. The back of your left leg getting a little bit longer with every exhale. Awesome. And then we'll move through that same sequence. So you can bring your hands to the inside of the left leg and walk that in like a quarter moon. And the left toe is facing the direction of your head, your right toe is facing behind you, and you can start to shift your weight forward and back, breathing into the left leg. And you can play around with the distance between your left foot and the hip. Great. And then you can bring yourself back up and step your right hand so that it's in line with the right knee, and reach your left arm up alongside the left ear so you get this nice long side body stretch on the left side. But then remembering the space in between your left hip, or your right hip and your right armpit. So you're keeping the space long there as well. Awesome. And then you can bring your left hand down to meet your right so that you're in your plank position, and step your foot back, move through a vinyasa, and we'll meet in down dog. When you're ready, bend the knees, look up and step up. Halfway lift as you inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root down through the feet as you rise up to stand, reaching the arms out and up. And exhale the hands to heart center. Awesome. Just checking back in, softening the face, tuning into the heartbeat. Start to stretch a bit deeper. So when you're ready, you can inhale, the arms reach all the way up. And exhale, forward fold, swan diving down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let that go. Plant the hands down, step back to your plank. Move through a vinyasa, and we'll meet in down dog. Great. So you can start to raise your right foot up to the sky as you inhale. And then as you exhale, pull your knee in toward the chest and shift your shoulders over wrists, but just let the knee hover here. And then see how slowly you can bring your right knee behind the right wrist, and then let that come to the ground. So you're coming into your pigeon pose. So your right foot comes across to the left. You can scooch your knee back. So we've gotten this sleeping pigeon pose. You can say lifted here if you'd like for some time to just feel this nice curving in the spine. And when you're ready, you can come onto your forearms and stretch into the right hip. Relax the jaw, relax the forehead. We'll take 5 more deep breaths here. And just see if you can use your energy to soften the muscles. So any energy that's built up within you, using that to separate the muscles and let them spread a little bit deeper. Feeling yourself opening up kind of like a flower. Awesome. And then let's slowly begin to come back onto the hands. And we're going to sneak in a little bit of core work again. So just start to tuck your back toes and scooch that knee in. So it's kind of like you were in a plank already, like with your upper arms. And then lift your back knee and see if you can just really slowly lift your right knee off the ground and step it back to your down dog. Also good. That's good core work. Awesome. And then when you're ready, we can do that on the other side. So you can raise your left leg up and then come into that. It's like a three-legged plank. And then you pull the knee into the chest and as slow as you possibly can, let your left knee come behind the left wrist. Oh, and then releasing back into your pigeon. The same thing on this side. You can stay lifted. You can come forward. But when you do come forward, just walking the hands forward so that you keep the spine really long as you do so, rather than just curling down. So good. So you can notice right away how this side feels compared to the last. And again, using your energy to soften, consciously relaxing the body. Remembering it also takes energy to relax. It's just that redirecting of the energy. Instead of pulling the muscles closer together and resisting, just using the same energy to push the muscles apart and spread and soften. Feeling the hips unfolding as you continue to relax your jaw. The hips and the jaw are connected. So if there's resistance in the hips, there will probably be tightness in the jaw as well. So using that to your advantage, relaxing the jaw as much as possible and allowing that to soften the hips even more. And one more big round of breath. And then slowly start to come back onto the hands. And we'll do that same thing, moving slowly to use the core. So you can tuck your back toes, scooch that knee in, and feel yourself as if you were already in a plank, as you just use your core to lift your knee up and bring it back slowly, lifting the hips high, stepping back to your down dog. So good. When you're ready, you can bend the knees, look forward, and step the feet up. Inhale to your halfway lift. And exhale to fold. This time, let's heel toe the feet so that they're mats with distance on like your short mat. So it's like a kind of, it's in between a wide leg forward fold and a regular. And just release in the center, let the knees bend as much as they need to, lift the hips a little bit higher, let the head soften a little bit deeper. You can grab opposite elbows, maybe sway side to side, maybe just find stillness, whatever works for you right now. Great. And then turn your toes to face out and your heels face in, staying this distance. Bring your hands to prayer and bring your elbows to the insides of the knees. And sink your hips down as you lift the heart up, coming into your Yogi squat or Malasana. Awesome. So lift your heart forward. Feel your wrists kind of be in line with the elbows. So using that leverage to open up the hips a little bit more, adjusting your feet as you need to. And again, just feeling the hips unfolding, just like in the pigeon. Just letting them open. Relax the jaw, relax the forehead, the shoulders. Great. And then we'll do a little bit more core work. So really slowly start to reach your fingertips forward and see if you can just lower your feet to the mat and immediately lift the feet off the ground so you come into your boat pose. Great, so there's many different versions. I'll go through them. You can have your shins parallel to the floor like this. You can grab the backs of your thighs and lift your heart toward the legs. And that can be version one. And then you can also reach the hands forward, but again, keeping the heart lifting toward the thighs. And if you want more challenge, you can straighten the legs. You can lift the arms above the head, which is like the hardest one. But wherever you are, just keep your lower belly tight. Keep your heart lifting toward your thighs. Keep yourself as stable as possible in this boat pose. This is so effective for core work. Great. One more big round of breath. And then you can grab the backs of the thighs, slowly lower the feet to the mat, and come right into seated cat-cow. So you can lift the heart forward, lift the chin away from the sternum, exhale, curl it back. Just do that a few rounds. And pay attention to your pelvic floor and your pelvis area. So focus when you come into your seated cow on tilting the pelvis up and tilting it toward the navel. And then when you come into your, oh, sorry, that was your seated cat. When you come into your cow, you tilt the pelvis back. So you feel the space between your pelvic floor and your navel growing and then coming in closer. So I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of like tipping and curling and then tipping and curling back. Great. And then you can come up to a regular seat. Just open your knees out to the side and let the soles of your feet find each other. And we'll come into our butterfly pose. So you can grab the flesh of the sit bones and pull it back. You can elevate your seat on anything. And just take a peek that the center line, like the space in between the eyes, is in line with your pubic bone, which is in line with the space in between the soles of the feet. So you really just get that center line of the body and surrender forward. Can totally release the head, release the muscles in the face. Erasing any expression from the face as you just let the muscles hang off of the bones. Finding that a little bit of stillness. Letting the shoulders curl forward, letting the head become even heavier. Bringing all your awareness to whatever part in the body is speaking the loudest to you. Maybe the hips, maybe the spine. Whatever is asking for the most attention, not fighting that. Bringing all of your attention to that area of the body. Breathing into that area. On the exhales, letting yourself surrender a little bit more. One more big exhale. And then let's very slowly begin to walk your hands back toward your seat. Coming back up. You can grab the outsides of the knees, pull them in together, give yourself a hug. And let's do some seated twists today. So when you're ready, you can extend your right leg forward and then bring the sole of your left foot outside of the right thigh. And then you can keep this right leg extended forward, or you can tuck it behind you so that your right foot comes to right beside your left hip. And then your left hand comes back behind you. Your right elbow hooks on the outside of the left knee. Yeah, that's it, Mom. So you're twisting toward your inner left thigh. And every time you inhale, let the crown of your head reach up a little bit higher. Every time you exhale, see if you can look over your left shoulder, maybe a bit more, twisting just a tiny bit more. On the exhales, letting your navel pull into toward the spine. The inhales, your sit bones are reaching down and the crown of your head is reaching up. The exhales, feeling the shoulders squared to your left and the hips squared to the front edge of your mat. One more round of breath, twisting a little bit deeper. And then as you unfold, you can turn your head forward first, followed by your shoulders. Bring the arms back behind you, straighten the legs out forward, maybe shake them out. And then we'll go to the other side. So you can let the left leg stay straight, cross the right foot over. And right hand comes back behind you. And then you can hook your left elbow outside of the right thigh. The same thing over here. Oh, you can tuck your left foot if you did that on the other side. As you inhale, let the crown of your head reach up. As you exhale, turn your gaze, maybe bringing your chin over your right shoulder a little bit more. Keeping that length in the spine, keeping the hips squared to the front edge of your mat and your shoulders coming squared to the long edge of your mat. And letting the navel tuck in toward the spine. Letting the heart stay proud, letting the collarbone stay broad. Let's do 2 more rounds of breath. And then as you unwind, you can turn your head back to center first, then the shoulders, and then unwind the legs, shake them out. Awesome. And then we'll start to make our way down to lay on our backs, but actually let's do a fish pose first. So let your feet reach forward and bring yourself down to your elbows. So your elbows are going to be under the shoulders. And then you can just stay here. This could be your first version of fish pose, but imagine there's a string at your heart center, lifting your heart toward the ceiling. And then if it feels okay on your neck, you can start to release your head so that the top of your head comes toward the mat, and you can slowly lower yourself to be on your head and keep the heart lifting up. Keep the shoulders pulling closer to each other. Awesome. And then to come out of this, we'll slowly start to tuck the chin toward the chest and just let the back of your head come to the mat as you release onto the floor. Awesome. You can bend the knees and take some windshield wipers with the feet as wide as your mat and the knees falling in either direction. You can go slowly, you can go quickly. Massaging your glutes, releasing your lower back. Great. If you'd like to, you can hug the knees in toward the chest and gently rock side to side, massaging your lower back, massaging the organs on the back body, just by fully surrendering the weight of your body to the mat and just gently rotating that weight. Let's see. If you'd like to, you can bring the feet up toward the ceiling and release the muscles in the legs and just let them hang out. You can bring the arms up to the ceiling to do the same. Just allowing the back body to be flat against the mat, as flat as possible, as if the whole body was full of sand, and now all that sand is resting across the entire length and width of your back. Releasing the muscles in the stomach and just allowing all the organs to rest in their rightful places. Allow the feet and the hands to grow a little warm and tingly with the change in blood flow. And then if you'd like to, you can come into your happy baby from here. Grabbing the outsides of the feet, letting the hips open up toward the ceiling. Maybe taking turns straightening each leg, maybe straightening both legs. Feeling that resistance from the shoulders to the feet. And then you can bring the soles of your feet to find each other, and then slowly walk the hands up your legs so that you lower them down to the mat. Releasing into your reclined butterfly pose, staying here if you want to, for as long as you want to, and at any point straightening out the legs into your final Shavasana. You can get comfy, you can grab any props that you'd like. As you totally surrender the body into the mat. Allow all of the different postures we took today to settle into the body. Trusting that you have done everything that was needed of you. Trusting that this practice has made you stronger, has centered yourself with yourself, and letting every muscle in your body soften into a state of surrender, a state of acceptance. Allowing this practice to soak into your body. Starting to feel the center line of your body. The space from the root of your spine all the way through the crown of your head. Feeling the four limbs coming off of that center line, the length and weight of both legs, the length and weight of both arms. And feeling all the energy centers through the center line of the body. The base of your spine. Feeling a sense of safety take over. Trusting how safe you are. Feeling the sacral chakra, the lower belly. Feeling a sense of innate creativity and joy. reminding yourself of all the creative things you do on a daily basis. Feeling a sense of patience with yourself and where you're at. Feeling the solar plexus and the belly. Feeling a sense of worthiness and confidence in who you are. Feeling the heart center. Feeling the deepest truth that you are love at your core. Having compassion and gratitude with your past, present, and future. Feeling the throat and honest communications with yourself, which allows you to have honest communications with others. Knowing that the deepest truth is that you are love. So speaking words of love into ourselves and therefore into the world. And feeling the third eye center in between the eyebrows. Seeing yourself clearly so that you can see the world clearly. Trusting your intuition and those gut feelings. And finally, feeling the crown of your head. Feeling the connection that you have to the energy that created all of life, because you are life. And letting yourself rest for about another minute in this total body awareness and acceptance. And feel free to stay longer if you would like. It's starting to bring awareness back to the room that you're in. If you're ready to slowly come out of this. Starting to deepen the breath. Calling air back into the body. Wiggling the fingers and toes. Rocking the head side to side. And taking a big morning stretch if you'd like. And slowly making your way to a fetal position when you're ready. And gently pushing yourself up to your seat. And we'll meet with our hands at heart center when you arrive. And just taking a moment to deeply thank yourself for your practice today. And may this continue to heal you through the rest of your days and nights. And may you bring this love into everything that you do and to everyone that you see. Namaste.